And then for the big card, 3 sign-up mining.
Who do we have here?
It's Cormac from Team Mambo, one of the 3 biggest Yu-Gi-Oh teams in the world. And today I decided I'm gonna bring a Salamangreat profile from the new format with DANE cards illegal. Because I think some people are a little bit unsure about how to build the deck moving forward. Sign-up mining coming in, the limited debug. There's a lot of other things that people are kind of like question about maybe what they should put in, stuff like Super Polygon 2 and whatnot. So I decided just to like make a list that people could use as a bit of a template going into some of their nationals and stuff starting this weekend. So we'll just get into it. So we start with 3 Gazelle, bread and butter. I'm playing 3 Spinny because this list is playing sign-up mining. So the thought process is that you want to have as many good discard targets for mining as possible. And with the limitation of debug, you want to have just more of these cards to account for the reduced consistency. So having 3 Spinny is really strong for that. It's obviously not great to like draw on multiples, and it's not a combo on its own. But there's like, with this stuff like mining and whatnot coming in, it has like extra utility for stuff like that now. Playing 3 Foxy. I've seen some of us cutting this down to 2, which I find really strange because we've lost 2 debug, and then people are trying to cut this down as well, just because we have the 3 mining. But I think this card is still really, really strong. It's still your win condition in the striker matchup because multi-roll is a really frustrating card to deal with. Yeah, almost swore to keep that down. But yeah, so this card's still really important. So I'd still recommend playing 3, and then 1 Falco, 1 Jaguar, and 1 Foul. I think Foul is still really important because making the rank 4s and stuff like the mirror match and making stuff like Dweller against Orcus is really, really important. So if you want to play this, there's argument to maybe play 2, but you just want to access it when you're able to make the rank 4. And you can, and your basic combo still ends in a rank 4 anyway instead of a trap if Dweller is more important in the matchup. So I think it's not too important to play multiples. Then the 1 debug, because I think this card is still a really important one to have. It's just Stratos, so it's really important. And then for the hand traps, 3 Ash, 3 Veiler, and 3 Phantasme. So decided to cut Ogre from what most lists are playing Ogre, because Striker is probably going to be a bit less represented now with Kagari going to 1. And Ogre doesn't seem that fantastic into a lot of the matchups in the current format, like stuff like the mirror match. Orcus is kind of not great. It's good into Endymion, but we don't know how relevant the deck's going to be yet. It hasn't really taken off since the deck has come out. So if it really becomes like the best deck in the format, you'd probably play Ogre. But until then, I think these are just the most important hand traps. I wouldn't play Impermanence because it still conflicts with this. But yeah, I think these are the 9 most important ones. But it might develop over the format, of course. So we have to see how it goes. And then for the big card, 3 sign-up mining. So this card, I would go on record in saying it is worse than debugged because it is a -1, but it is still really strong because it is a starter card, because it can get you to stuff like debug into Gazelle, which makes the -1 negligible because the debugger Gazelle is still a +2 or +3. So it's still worth it to be able to have the added consistency of the card. And then going second, I really like it because the fact that putting something in grave, like Spinny or Foxy, which we put back to 3, it means that you're not as reliant on your normal summon as you normally are in your early phase of the game. So this card, like, in a sense, kind of helps set you up with its discard as well as the card that it adds. Like, I used to play Foolish in Salamangreat before the ban list for a similar reason, because it took a lot of the pressure off your normal summon in the early stages of the game. And this card kind of does the same thing, but it also is a Rhoda, which is really, really important. And then play 3 Circle, the real Rhoda. This card's absolutely insane as always. 1 Sanctuary, 1 Will. Not playing Fusion of Fire in the main deck, because I think at this stage most people have figured that in the mirror you hold stuff like Veiler for the Fusion of Fire of Decay. And a lot of people have moved to start playing trap cards now. Especially with some of the cards that are released in DANE, which we'll get to in a second. It makes the Fusion of Fire of Decay really, really susceptible to a lot of players in the meta right now, and it seems really weak to main. But in stuff with the mirror match, you still want to side it for helping clear their boards going second and stuff. And Will is still really, really strong, just as an extender. Again, the idea that it takes the pressure off the normal summon. And then 3 Call by the Grave. Hand traps are still going to be running rampant in this format. This card's still the best one to deal with it. And then a lot of the time this card still does work as a trap card against stuff like the Mirror Match and Orcus. Orcus in particular, this is really strong against. Hitting like the Harp Horror or whatever with this, really good. This card's really strong. I think it just gets better with this format because Striker's less relevant. And then we're playing a fairly high trap count in this version of the deck because with the reduced consistency of Debug going to 1, we felt that we still need to play a decent number of trap cards for the times that we can't play the game. We probably have enough defensive cards to be able to then play the game the following turn. And trap cards now going second aren't as bad because the Thunder deck isn't as consistent as before. So you can draw trap cards going second against it and still be able to play the game. But the most important one we play is 3 Strike. This one's just really strong. I feel like if you open this card alongside any form of combo, you just win the game immediately going first.
It's really good against Striker as well.
Really good against Striker, so if that deck is still popping up, which this deck still struggles against Striker, 1 Kigari kind of helps because it means that the further the game goes on, it's not just an inevitable loss. And this card, going second against Striker, is actually really important because being able to stop if they recycle the Kigari and then they strike the Kigari itself, they put so much effort into that you probably just like swing the game back in your favor from that point on. And then we're playing 2 Crackdown, which is the new trap from Dark Neostorm. This is the card that I think makes things like the Fusion of Fire or Decay far weaker because, or people are just trying to push with Fusion of Fire because you can just take the Fusion like in battle phase and then just basically make them burn all their resources on it. And then next turn you just do it and just win the game. This is also really good for times when you brick going first and stuff like the Mirror Match, because if you brick, you just set this card and then you like take their normal summon or whatnot, and then they can't play, and then you use their normal summon to be able to start playing yourself.
That's
the
you start
turn.
playing as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think this card is like a lot of really cool applications. It's also really good against Striker because you have difficulty adding Ray, and it's also good against a lot of those sort of trap decks like Subterra and whatnot because taking stuff like the Guru can be like quite it'd be kind of a hassle to deal with. Like all these cards are really good against those sort of trap decks, which I think we'll start seeing prevalence in the format because the combo deck kind of took a bit of a beating on the most recent ban list. And then we're still playing 1 of each trap card because these cards are just still really strong. So people are considering cutting this. I think against those sort of trap control decks, especially the Mystic Mind deck that's sort of taking off the moment.
Makes sense to play.
Yeah, it makes sense to play in this card in particular.
More trap decks.
Really strong. So that's a 40 card main deck. I don't know how much of it I would change at the moment. I think it's like a good base template to work off of for now. There's thoughts of maybe playing something like Buffalo, or maybe even just 1 to 2 copies of it because you can access it off of mining. So if you open a lot of Salamangreats in mining, let's just dig into like your power cards, like your trap cards. I haven't tested it too much yet at the moment, but that's the basic idea for now. Moving on to the extra deck, this is more or less stayed the same. 3 Balinks, 3 Sunlight Wolf, 2 Leo. And for the generic stuff, Phoenix, Hita, Borreload. So playing Borreload at the moment over Ningirsu because I feel that Thunder is still going to have a fairly high relevance this format, and being able to like take a Colossus and then they still have to try and out this, which is quite difficult for that matchup, and then you just take the next Colossus on the following turn. If they're not able to beat it, it has a bit more merit than the Ningirsu. But I'm not quite sure yet. This card is also just really good against Orcus because if they're setting up for the Ningirsu play with the PK link, their pops all target with monster effects, and this card obviously can't be targeted, so it's much better in that regard. And then for the Xyz, you play 1 Mirage Talia, 1 Baguska, 1 Dweller. I'm not playing Tornado Dragon because with Striker getting hit, I think it's going to be less prevalent. Dweller is still surprisingly good against Striker if you have it with things like Rage, because you can just pop the link and then they can't trigger Ray. And it's really good randomly against stuff like the Field Spell and against Manifest Fusion. Yeah, I think I played a regional last weekend with this deck against Striker. I would always go for this, and I would like if I opened a trap card, I would go for Dweller. And like a lot of the time, like their plays were like Field Spell, send Manifest Fusion, or their plays into Ray were multi-roll, send away the Field Spell. And like all those plays just died because of that. And then if they're set down to like 1 play, then you just rage the monster whenever it's summoned. And they can't do anything about it, and you just win. And then we're playing the Violet Chimera because we're still siding Fusion of Fire. Because, like I said, Super Poly going to 2 really makes like the mirror match a little bit cancerous, to be honest, especially post side if we're both playing super poly. But like you still want to be able to clear the whole board, and then like still siding the Fusion of Fire itself because you want to be able to OTK, and like there's no point siding the Fusion itself for that regard. So yeah, that's the list. We're not showing the side deck at the moment because side deck is very much tailored to your local meta. But this is like a base idea of the new format Salamangreat. If you have any ideas about what you would like put in yourself or any sort of text that you've come up with yourself, leave them in the comments below, and then we'll probably I'll have some debate going on there. But for yeah, that's pretty much it. This is Cormac from Mambo, Hero Kids, etc. Signing out. Thank you very much.
This is Seto Kaiba with a little shout out for Team Mambo. You're all a bunch of third-rate duelists.
I'm a living relic, I'm a revenant. Forever been a reverend. I do it for the hell of it. I do it to settle shit. You a fool if you meddling. With the space Mambo, you gon' face my old power when I hit you with the dark magician. I made my goal to annihilate you, so I'ma hit you with the quick precision. Fell from my trap car, yeah, trap hard. Gotta summon another, so I'ma sacrifice y'all. Pew pew, golden eye, Maximilian. Who knew that the winnings of the million? Now we shining like a luster dragon, flying at heights that you couldn't imagine. Yeah, you know we gon' blow up just as soon as Exodia shows up.